Picture the scene. It's early February, and suddenly, the world is painted in shades of red and pink. Shop windows are overflowing with heart-shaped chocolates, and every commercial is a soft focus montage of happy couples exchanging expensive gifts. There's an undeniable pressure in the air, a cultural command to perform romance in a very specific and often very public way. Now, imagine someone in a perfectly happy, long-term relationship who watches all of this unfold with a calm, indifferent shrug. They love their partner deeply, but to them, February 14th is just another Tuesday. They aren't cynical, they aren't unromantic, and they aren't fighting with their significant other. They simply don't fuss. This person is a puzzle to our consumer-driven culture, a ghost at the feast of manufactured love. And their indifference raises a fascinating psychological question. Are they missing the romance gene, or do they understand something deeper about love and connection that the rest of us, caught up in the frenzy, have completely forgotten? To understand the mind of someone who doesn't fuss over Valentine's Day, we first need to talk about one of the most fundamental concepts in relationship psychology, attachment theory. Pioneered by psychologist John Bowlby, this theory suggests that our early bonds with our parents shape our attachment style in adult relationships, which generally falls into one of three categories: anxious, avoidant, or secure. People with an anxious attachment style often worry about their partner's love and commitment, and they might crave grand gestures on days like Valentine's as powerful reassurance that the relationship is stable. For them, a big display isn't just a gift, it's proof. It's a validation that calms their underlying anxiety, even if only for a little while. The person who doesn't fuss, however, is very often operating from a place of secure attachment. They feel confident and safe in their partner's love, not just on one day, but on all 365 days of the year. Their emotional foundation is so solid that they don't need a single designated day to prove its existence. Because their partner's love and commitment are demonstrated consistently through small, everyday actions. Think of it like this: a secure relationship is like a house with a strong foundation, solid walls, and a leak-proof roof. And Valentine's Day is like a single fancy decoration you can choose to hang on the door. The decoration is nice, but it's not structurally important, and the house remains a safe and wonderful place to live, whether the decoration is there or not. For someone with a secure attachment style, their partner's saying, "I love you," on a random Wednesday, bringing them a cup of tea in the morning, or listening patiently after a hard day at work, are the bricks and mortar of the relationship. A dozen roses on February 14th is fine, but it's just a flower. It isn't the foundation, and they know the difference. The next piece of the psychological puzzle lies in the brilliant and simple concept of the 5 love languages, popularized by Dr. Gary Chapman. He proposed that people express and receive love in 5 primary ways: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. And very rarely is someone's primary love language receiving gifts. Valentine's Day, in its modern, commercialized form, overwhelmingly caters to just one of these languages: receiving gifts, with a side of words of affirmation in the form of a card. But what if your partner's primary love language is acts of service? What if the most romantic thing you could possibly do for them is not to buy them jewelry, but to finally fix that squeaky door that's been driving them? For this person, an expensive, obligatory gift can feel hollow and inauthentic, a generic gesture that doesn't reflect a true understanding of what makes them feel loved and seen. They would genuinely prefer their partner to take their car for a wash or to cook them dinner after a long week, because these acts demonstrate love through effort and thoughtfulness, not just through money. Or consider the person whose love language is quality time. For them, The idea of a crowded, overpriced restaurant on Valentine's night is the opposite of romantic. It's a stressful performance. True romance for them might be turning off your phones, opening a bottle of wine, and having a deep, uninterrupted conversation at the kitchen table, an experience that costs nothing but is rich in connection. So, the person who doesn't fuss isn't rejecting romance. They are often rejecting a narrow, commercialized definition of romance that doesn't align with their own emotional needs. They are implicitly asking for love to be shown in a language they understand, a language that feels personal and genuine, not one that is dictated by a calendar and a marketing campaign. This brings us to our third psychological reason, a powerful rebellion against perceived inauthenticity and societal pressure, a concept psychologists call reactance. Reactance is the uncomfortable feeling you get when you believe someone or something is trying to limit your freedom. And a common response to this feeling is to do the exact opposite of what you're being pressured to do. The relentless, "You must be romantic on February 14th" messaging from culture can trigger this psychological reactance in people who highly value autonomy and authenticity. They see the forced romance not as an opportunity, but as a command, and their quiet indifference is a form of protest, a way of reclaiming their freedom to express love on their own terms. For these individuals, a spontaneous bouquet of flowers on a miserable Tuesday in November is infinitely more meaningful than an obligatory bouquet on Valentine's Day. Why? Because the spontaneous gesture was born from a genuine, internal desire to make their partner happy, while the obligatory one is motivated by an external, societal expectation. Think of it as the difference between a heartfelt handwritten letter and a generic greeting card that you just sign your name to. Both convey a message, but only one feels truly personal and authentic. People who don't fuss over Valentine's Day are often connoisseurs of authenticity, and they can spot an empty, performative gesture from a mile away. They aren't trying to be difficult or contrary. They are simply protecting the sanctity of their own romantic feelings from the diluting influence of commercialism. They believe that true love is not something you perform for an audience once a year, but something you build quietly and consistently in the private moments of everyday life. So, when you see that person who doesn't seem to care about Valentine's Day, try to see them not as unromantic, but as a quiet revolutionary, a guardian of a different kind of love. They are often the securely attached partners who don't need a single day of proof, the speakers of different love languages who value action and presence over presence, and the defenders of authenticity in a world that often demands performance. They remind us that love is not a competition, and it's not a spectator sport. It is a deeply personal, unique, and multifaceted experience that cannot be contained within a single 24-hour period. Their calm indifference is not a sign of a failing relationship, but often it's a sign of a relationship so strong, so secure, and so deeply understood that it doesn't need a holiday to validate its existence. Perhaps the greatest lesson these people can teach us is that the most romantic gesture of all is to truly see your partner, to understand their unique needs, and to love them in a way that feels true to them, regardless of what the calendar says. Because true romance was never about the flowers you buy on one day. It was always about the garden you tend together every single day of the year.